All right, the patch finally released, so I'm gonna go through it. First, before I even read anything, I wanted to talk about the current meta, since I'm probably gonna try to predict what will change before I even go through anything. So the current meta is first for dually, we've got Monitor Lizard on Companion Core. It also works on Ignition Core, although it takes a little more work. We've got Ignition Core, just regular burn builds. All of we've got the Armored Core that uses Force Field or the Rays. Usually it's Force Field, and the Red Cores are pretty much required to use the Rays. They could do some there could be some builds that don't use the core at all, but they're like completely uh random. So yeah, it's the dually meta is just using Rays or Monitor Lizard or Ignition Core, which is also Rays. The pig is usually just using uh Regal Blade or Beast of Burden and pivoting into uh spamming a lot of health if it's Beast of Burden, and then maybe going into Lion's King as well. Or if you end up with Lion's King, they might also go Crook into Caltrops or using Dog or anything like that. The small item pig builds that spam heal or yo-yo got kind of like pushed out of the meta because of Beta Ray from Dually, since Dually was dominant and Rays specifically were dominant. Then Vanessa would be single weapon builds like Cutlass or Trebuchet builds, or if they go really far into late game, there were builds doing uh, crit infinite ammo stuff with Blunderbuss, I think, or another one. I'm not sure if it was Blunderbuss. I'm not too familiar with Vanessa items. So there's also the most significant things were that skills uh on day 1 hour 0 were completely removed in the previous patch, and that made the Vanessa and Pig very weak, while it made Dually a little bit stronger because Dually had a hard time taking advantage of those early skills. The what else? The the Pig and Vanessa were offered 4 items at the start, and it included large items, while Dually was only offered 3 cores every time. And I mean, I can't really think of much else. There was a bunch of items that were removed over time, so I could see. I don't need to predict. I'd rather just react, really. If I have the patch right in front of me, why do I need to predict stuff now? So, gameplay changes. I guess this is a very general description of what's changed. So, level up structure revamped to consist largely of fixed options. Okay, so they are getting rid of the RNG on level up. That makes sense to me. Most skills will now be obtained via level up. That's interesting. That kind of, so maybe what I just said's wrong then. It's not RNG, it's just what is offered. The types of things offered are consistent, but if it's skills that are offered on level up, then that's kind of a different type of RNG there. Skill trainers are removed from the regular encounter pool. That's interesting. But on the other hand, they offer free skills instead. So I guess if you get a skill trainer from Aerodrome or from the Mysterious Portal, it'll offer free skills, which makes sense. You couldn't roll them, and it would feel bad because I guess the main problem that they had was when you were offered skills, you were not incentivized to even click the option because it was a waste of gold for something that was low impact. Now these skill shops are more expensive, significantly more expensive. 40 gold for a diamond skill is crazy. But maybe the amount of gold we're getting is gonna go up. Rerolls are added to all merchants and trainers, and costs now vary based on the merchant's tier. 2468. I'm not sure what that means. Skill trainers now offer 3 skills instead of 4. That's rough, but since you can roll, it's actually better. It's basically 6 instead of 3, or 6 instead of 4. Aerodrome doesn't spawn the removed trainers. Does that mean it will not spawn the skill trainers? That, I guess what I just said is wrong then. If they're not spawning the removed, if they're not spawning removed trainers, the skill trainers, I guess, are what are removed. Pearl's dig site is an encounter instead of a merchant. That's interesting. Seraphina allowing multiple purchases is very exciting, actually. It's still unlikely you'll be able to get more than one because they're so expensive, though, but that's a really cool change. They removed large items from start of the run item pool. That makes sense. Monster Ranch is gold tier up from silver, so I guess that means it's not going to be offered day one. And it offers 1 free item from a selection of 5. Okay. I'd have to see it to understand what that means because I'm not sure what items means, and like I'd need to see if we're still like are we not choosing between bronze, silver, and gold anymore? Sterling has been renamed to Sylvia. Okay. Sylvia is tired of people not buying silver large items and no longer spawns on day 1. That is amazing because I was so sick of seeing Sylvia on day 1. Elder Tuscari is Mr. Tuscari. I guess that's a pig encounter. I don't know what that is. Snack time. I guess that's a skill. No. Snack time is the encounter that gives health, and it was incredibly strong. Like I would take that every time in the late game. So they reduced the amount of health you're getting from that, which is reasonable to me. Restorative shielded item will heal equal to its shield. Yeah, so these make a lot of sense. Like for example, I saw an Atlas stone, which with a crook on the board, it started with like 200. But then with the shielded enchant on the Atlas stone, it had 1 shield, and so it was only doubling to 1, 2, 4, rather than doubling to an amount equal to the shield. So I assume that would resolve that issue. Although it was really funny to see the Atlas Stone with such a small shield amount while its damage was really large. Grandmaster and B1 and B2. This is an incredible buff. I used to never click Grandmaster. So that I wonder. So previously, let's say you got a monster skill and then you clicked Grandmaster. I'm pretty sure Grandmaster would never offer the monster skill. So now I'm curious if you have, if you like day 2 got Rush from the Mosquito and then day 3 you got Rigged from the Eccentric Etherite. Are you able to upgrade both of those from Grandmaster? Because that would be insane. Assuming you have no other skills. And B1 and B2, I mean, that's just. I mean, it's. B1 and B2 felt more consistent. Like, I always assumed it would offer me upgrades. Every once in a while, it would offer one item that wasn't an upgrade, so. I like this change just to make it more consistent. Because I was often, it would feel really bad because I'd often sell all my items that I didn't want to upgrade. And then at that point, if I'm still not being offered an upgrade, that just feels really bad. This is great. I saw this in a comment on one of the Bazaar channel's videos about how they had intended it for the merchants to pay more for the items that they prefer. So like Barkun is a medium large item shop. These are the Grand Society of Master Merchants are these three. So Barkin buys medium and large or sells medium and large items, and so now he's gonna be buying small items at higher value. That's really cool. And then Midsworth is selling small and large items and buying mediums at a large value. That's cool. And Quixel sells small and medium and buys large items at a higher value. All very interesting changes to me. This is the Lost Crate thing, I believe, which lets you upgrade the bushel. No, no, not the Lost Crate. It's the it's one of the options that offers a XP when you press it. One of the encounters. I don't know what Hattie is, but we'll see when we get into the game. Replays and recaps. You can watch a replay of the battle after combat, and you can see the stats for your items after combat. That's really cool. I'm very excited for that. Monster changes. The health has been reduced on a number of monsters. Veteran Octopus. Okay, that one makes sense. This guy felt so weak. So, like, pretty much doubling his health, a little bit more than double, is significant because now he's actually potentially a difficult fight. I'm not too sure because I still always felt like he didn't do much damage, but who knows? Maybe the health is a significant enough buff to make it so that he's actually threatening. Retiree drops bandages instead of succulents. Okay. Sparring partner disabled. Makes sense. That thing was a lag engine. Frost Street Champion. That's the one that has the snowflake and the blizzard skill. The blizzard skill was bugged, so it must not be bugged anymore if it's added to the pool. Wandering Shoal had pufferfish, which was disabled, so that would being re-enabled, I guess, means pufferfish is back. Robo Bouncer is now called Bouncertron. Okay. Warrior is a silver tier monster with less health and a weaker loadout. That's understandable, but disappointing. because it was always cool. I mean, maybe cool is a stretch, but Warrior being like that encounter that you just know you can't beat unless you're really strong was it was kind of cool, but at the same time, it just feels really bad that you are like just with there being a 50-50 between Warrior or Scrap something. What's it called? Uh, I forgot what it was called. It's the one that was offered the gold tier monster on day 2 that isn't Warrior. Whatever it was called. That one was still a difficult fight, but not like impossible, whereas Warrior often felt impossible. So it makes sense that it's nerfed. I wonder, it being silver tier, I guess makes sense because this next line they are moving Tent City Mayor up to day 5. I guess, are they buffing the skills on Tent City or Trash Town Mayor, or what are they doing? Because he's not a strong board. We'll see. General item changes. Heavy enchantment no longer increases the number of items that are slowed. It's now double slow duration. That makes sense because the heavy enchantment doubling the targets is kind of insane, I believe. Restorative and shielded now map to the damage, health, shield values of the base items. If the items already have those output. For example, a weapon that gains shielded will shield equal to the item's damage. Many enchantments are updated and new VFX during item enchantment animation. Okay. Oh, no. Snowflake reverted. Oh, that's so bad. The I liked the snowflake being enchantment instead of freeze duration up. So now that it's back to being +1 freeze duration, it's like an unplayable item most of the time, which feels bad. I really liked when it was an enchantment, but I guess it's the icy enchantment is just that broken, that powerful that you just don't want it to be a thing that's offered. So not consistently, because it's the most consistent way is from the encounter that they just added back, the Frost Street Champion, and then even in then it's like probably a low percent chance to get it from that encounter, but I don't know. I don't like this freeze duration. Uh, I really liked not being too worried about freeze in this meta, so this making freeze become more relevant again is going to be kind of annoying. Weather Machine has a 5-second cooldown instead of 3-second cooldown. Scaling is fixed. I don't know what that means, but okay. Shark Ray and Chris Army Knife projectiles I don't really care about. Rivet Gun and Chance with Obsidian and Shiny. I'm not sure like if that just means it's gonna have lifesteal or it's gonna have multicast, like, and not anything to do with its passive about adjacent items, then that kind of is not relevant because the item is trash at like its 9-second cooldown. But we'll have to see what the enchantments actually say. Butter updated. Haste 1 item for each adjacent. This gains multicast. It's still a really long cooldown, so I don't really see it being playable, but maybe the multicast, because I think it's an 8-second cooldown. So maybe the multicast will be good. Every 8 seconds, haste 3 items for 4 seconds at diamond. Maybe it's good. Thurible starting at bronze tier. It now is just burn instead of when you gain regeneration burn, and it gives you regeneration. So they just nerfed this item, I think. I'm not sure. Because it was like it was a 7, I think it was a 7-second cooldown just to gain regeneration. Now it's 7-second cooldown burn and gain regeneration, but the when you gain regeneration burn passive was the only reason why it was played. So this seems really weak now, when it was already weak anyway without solar farm. I mean, I guess maybe they enabled Mac and we're gonna see the item. That's the only thing I can think of, but I doubt they've enabled him. Venomander is a 6-second cooldown and is at bronze, poisons for more, and gives regeneration itself instead of it being an adjacent item thing. Sharpening Stone starting at silver means it's removed from Curio's pool. Extract, Cinder are also removed from Curio's pool. And they're weaker at silver, stronger at, or Sharpening Stone at least is weaker at silver, stronger at gold and diamond. The Extract and Cinder are weaker at silver and gold and the same at diamond. So this is a nerf to Extract and Cinder, and Sharpening Stone is probably more of a buff, assuming it's still a level up option, but I don't know if it is a level up option anymore to get loot. We'll see. Medkit and Scrap are buffed at diamond. So it's just they just increase the scaling. Mortal Coil has lifesteal itself. I'm not sure if it removed the lifesteal to the adjacent item passive or not. I guess it is removed. Sunlight Spear's cooldown is 5, sure. Satchel is silver with 7 seconds cooldown. I don't think that item was ever played, it's only sold anyway. Cosmic Plumage can be enchanted with Deadly, sure. Necronomicon, so the change, the most recent change they made to Necronomicon made Lich very difficult. It was already a difficult fight, but that made it like exceedingly difficult. So what are they doing now? Poison 10, gain 10 regeneration, 4-second cooldown instead of it being completely a passive. When any non-weapon is used, charge. So that seems weaker, except it's not being, it doesn't have this passive anymore. So that means the Lich, I think the Lich is still weaker, but yeah, I mean, that's just my takeaway. I think this makes the Lich weaker, but still a challenging fight. Okay, Rivet Gun was changed at somehow in some way. So it starts at gold tier, deals slightly more damage. The charging is the same, so it's just a little bit more damage, and it starts at gold tier. Neural Toxin removed the adjacent use and became adjacent charge, which makes sense. icebreaker damage up is really good. I thought it was already at 80. I this is the item from the enforcer. I forgot what it's called. The freeze guy who has cryosphere, icebreaker, the stopwatch, and the like pickaxe that scales when you freeze. Venom, 3-second cooldown. Instead of when you use an adjacent weapon, use this. Well, was that even? I don't even think that was the text on it. It was just when you use an adjacent weapon, poison, right? Because that's a big difference. If this was a use, that would have made this kind of strong. Anyway, Black Rose doesn't charge anymore. It now scales. So I don't know. That's not great. Also, I thought it was 2 at diamond. I didn't realize it was 2 at gold before. But it not having the charge effect is kind of iffy, but I guess it makes more sense flavor wise for it to just scale. Because instead of charging, but because it's just it was a little harder for. I mean, I don't know. I mean, this is a Mac item, so I don't really know how Mac would have made use of it. But from when I tried to use it as dually, it's a lot harder to spam healing. But spamming poison, resulting in a much larger heal, is more useful, I think. Earrings. I don't know what this item is. Oh wait, yes, this is another Mac item. That it used to have when you slow, gain health. Now it's a 5-second cooldown, gain 5, max health, and when you slow, charge this. So oh, it's for the fight. Like not like permanent. This seems much weaker and when it was already pretty weak. But I could be wrong because it's a charge, so it's something you can use. And especially at diamond, if you can reduce its cooldown enough, it could be every time you slow, use this. So like earrings could be playable with Chemsnail if Chemsnail hasn't been changed. Nightshade, it used to be poison and heal. Now it's poison, and when you heal, this gains poison. Okay. I don't see. I mean, again, I don't know max items or how they would. I can't judge the power of max items on Mac. So it's hard to really assess this change. Candles used to be burn 2468. I don't know what this item is. When you use a small item, charge this. Yeah, I'm not really sure what this item even is. Pendulum. Okay, so first of all, this text is wrong. Pendulum had no cooldown. So, but okay, so it used to have a cooldown, then they removed it because the item didn't do anything. when you used it, it only had a passive. So it used to be when you crit haste, which was really strong on the critical core. So now it's when you crit charge this, and its use effect is haste your items for 2 seconds. So it is still strong with critical core. Fossilized femur, that's the large item that one of the that the Oasis Guardian had it, I believe. So it's 300 damage, doesn't change when you upgrade it, I guess. When you slow charge this, and this gains damage for the fight. Interesting. And it charges a lot. Ouroboros statue. Poison. It's at silver. It poisons pretty much the same amount. But now it gives. Okay, so all they did was lower the tier and like adjust the numbers accordingly. Proboscis has a cooldown, and when you slow charge, that's really strong. If you get a diamond proboscis, that could be really, really strong. Oven mitts has a cooldown and charges instead of having the passive. I guess that's the overall theme, huh? They're just getting all the things they may have missed. Oven mitts cooldown and charges. It has a shield on use and a haste on use, and the haste duration doesn't scale. I think it's a lot weaker. So this is because it hastes only one item and it's not a passive anymore. This is significantly weaker than Solar Farm now. But I don't know, because the duration is 2 seconds less than Solar Farm, right? Solar Farm, or no, is Solar Farm a 6 second cooldown? No, Solar Farm is a 6 second cooldown, isn't it? So it's the same duration as Solar Farm, and it's just the charge amount changes, while the Solar Farm charge amount doesn't change. It's only 2, so it required 3 burns. Whereas I guess this could be stronger than Solar Farm at Diamond, assuming Solar Farm doesn't also change. Well, not it's not going to be stronger because it doesn't haste your whole board, but it's just be for the charging aspect of it. It could be fairly strong still. Sirens. This was a Stell item, I think. When you slow haste a vehicle, which was completely useless to most people because it was hard, like there were very few vehicles in the game that were playable. So now it slows an item and it hastes an item, and it has multicast for each adjacent vehicle. I think it's still not very playable, but maybe it's playable on Stell. Propane tank 9 second cooldown was absurd, so 6 second cooldown. Hastes vehicles, burns both players. If you have a vehicle at the start of each fight, use this. That sounds really strong. Start of combat, haste, and burn, which would also charge if you had like oven mitts or something, although that's crazy because it's 2 different classes, right? So that's not realistic at all. But like an item that charges when you burn. I don't know if I doubt Stell has that, but anyway, Cryo Sleeve has a cooldown and charge. It has a cooldown of 6 instead of 3 and charges. Freezes itself, shields. So that's potentially strong, but only charging for 1 second. I guess it makes sense because it is a freeze. They really don't want to have a freeze item be able to be spammed. So I understand this being 1 second always. Igloo, freeze one item. Oh no, but this only freezes itself. Yeah, so why doesn't the charge go up? Not sure. Yeah, so the thing I just said about permafreeze doesn't matter because it's only freezing itself. Anyway, Igloo has a half health use. The shield is now a flat amount that gets used on, I think it had a 6 second cooldown, and instead of having a passive when you freeze shield. So I think it's still not particularly good. Gatling gun has its damage significantly buffed. So that makes Lord Arkin significantly stronger. Hydraulic squeezer. What is this item? When you it used to be when you use another tool, your weapons gain. So this was another Stell item, I believe. Its damage has been buffed. It buffs your items and it gets charged when you use a tool. I don't like tools are kind of hard to fit, but I mean, it's often you only had like maybe one tool on your board, but I guess Stell is the one that could have a full board of tools to where this would make sense. Magic carpet. Damage scaling has been changed to make more sense, doubling every time. Crit gain damage, and the damage scaling is equivalent, or sorry, not equivalent. The damage scaling used to be equivalent to its flat damage, basically like doubling the first time, and then so now hmm I it wasn't it was never playable. It did have its own built-in crit chance, but I don't know. I don't see how this item could be useful. It's still, if you're a crit build, you would probably rather have your items just have their own really large flat damage instead of having to rely on scaling. So I don't know. This is a weird item. Runic double bow has its damage scaling changed. It's a lot weaker for some reason. I don't really understand because it didn't seem strong. It has, oh, because they put crit chance on it. I guess it didn't have crit chance before. Runic Great Axe. 20, 40, 60, 80. Your weapons with lifesteal gain damage. So it's buffed at bronze and silver and nerfed at diamond in both cases. This also seems still unplayable, but maybe these are meant to be nerfing other encounters. I don't know. I don't understand what these changes are for. because these items were usually only being used by the PVEs, unless they've like just been doing their own testing with Mac or whatever other classes have these items, which I think it's just Mac for both of these. Incense has an 8-second cooldown instead of 10, and its healing is significantly buffed. I don't remember its text, but I think it had. I thought it had a passive of when you slow heal or when you heal slow or something. Basilisk Fang has been changed. So it used to be. So this was a 3-second cooldown lifesteal item. It used to be when you poison, gain crit chance. Now it's this item has crit chance while the enemy has poison. So it's just a rework. Um, I'm curious if it still has lifesteal. They didn't mention it, so I assume it just hasn't been changed, so it will still have the lifesteal. Basic skills have been removed, such as ones that buff small, medium, and large items, and other niche skills that were deemed too situational. That's a little bit of a shame. I liked picking standard ordnance a lot, which would buff the weird weapon damage for medium items, but maybe I will prefer the consistency overall. Desperate Freeze becoming Desperate Cleanse makes sense. Fiery Rebirth does not cleanse or self burn. That makes sense. The naming is a little bit weird, but it's fine. The only reason why it was fiery was because of the self burn, so now it could really just be called Rebirth. Hypnotic Drain only counts lifesteal weapons as originally intended. Huh. That's interesting. That's a significant nerf. So now lifesteal. So this skill is already like really hard to get. Now it's not like run winning. Now it means you need to actually find lifesteal and value that higher than like what would I have value instead? The radiant enchantment. Corrosive toxins reduces weapon damage by 2 and 4 instead of 3, 6, 9. That's great, especially the gold tier part, because now it's going to cost 20 and it's nerfed. So yeah, I'm happy about this. Heat shield re-enabled after a bug was fixed with it, sure. Passive aggressive is now shell shock, and it says your items have 1 damage for each ammo you have on your items in play. Does this go down as you use the ammo? I'm curious. I don't know. Short up is now when you heal, charge a shield item 1 second instead of when you heal shield. That makes me think that one encounter is going to be faster. When you heal, charge a shield item. Although I don't know if it even had a shield item on the board. Did it? Oh, it does. It does. It has the seashell or whatever it was called, one of Vanessa's items. The encounter being the one that it's like a living island, or I don't know the name, but it's living not wandering shoal. That's the other one. It has the genie lamp. It has a bunch of gems on it, or not gems, like stones. It has a bunch of aquatic items. I think that makes the encounter a little bit stronger. Void energy says when you burn, charge a shield item instead of scaling shielding. So that's a buff to the Void Colossus, I believe. Although removing this shield scaling, maybe that's significant. Maybe that's going to make those weaker. Equivalent exchange is now when you heal, charge a poison item instead of when you heal poison. That sounds really strong. And now I think the pumpkin guy, something Jack, is strong. Sick burn is when you poison charge instead of when you poison burn. That makes sense. They're just removing more of the. So all of these are just removing the when you do something and changing it to when you charge. Toxicity is buffing. It's toxicity is buffed, starts at silver instead of gold, I guess, and buffs damage when you poison. Shatter is also significantly buffed, starting at silver. Working hard, what's this? Your weapons have damage for each tool. That's buffed. It was not particularly good, but it's still interesting. Like, for example, flamethrower is a tool. So if you have flamethrower battery, the flamethrower starts with 14 more damage or 28 more damage, which is really strong. So I would actively look for this skill if I were trying to do a flamethrower build. Arms dealer triggers on buy instead of sell and gives significantly more damage. Or is it health? It's health, isn't it? Arms dealer. Arms dealer has to be a health item, right? Bold under pressure starts at silver tier and hastes items for 2 seconds when you fall below half health. So it's the number of items increases when you upgrade it. This same thing, stop that. The number of items targeted goes up. Iron sharpens iron, starts at silver. Okay, that's like, so a lot of these are just for the classes I don't play, so I don't know what to make of them. I don't remember. Did iron sharpens iron? I guess it must have started at bronze, and so they just removed it, increasing the damage by 1. Critical investments has been buffed. I think this was this the pig item that gave your items crit when you used a property? If so, that's kind of strong, it being buffed. Not like crazy strong, but I mean, at diamond, it sounds crazy to me. Command ship starts at silver and gives cooldown reduction. Significantly more cooldown reduction. Command ship. Hold on a second. Is this the monster skill? Or is this... So, like, is this the one that's... if you have a vehicle, your non-vehicle items have cooldown reduction? Or is this the one that's... your items have cooldown reduction for each? If you have an ammo, a weapon, a vehicle, etc. I think those are only 3. I kind of want to know. So I'm going to look at what command ship is. This is a skill called command ship. Okay, yeah, it was the first one I said. So that's really strong. That makes Bulldozer stronger and Combat Core stronger. Shield Bash is when your enemy uses a non-weapon item, charge a weapon 1 second instead of when your enemy uses a non-weapon item, deal damage. That is really interesting because now I would take this and feel really strong against burn and poison dually if I'm because I loved playing the weapon cores. Heavy metal has been significantly buffed. That's really good. This is probably one of the best shield games and shield items in the game now, or shield skills in the game now. Like at Diamond, I guess that's the whole point, right? They made the skills much more expensive, assuming you're uh, relying on purchasing them in order to upgrade them. Ice bullets only reloads weapons. Sure, I don't really know what this is. Poison opener. Poisonous opener starts at silver tier instead of bronze. I don't know what that is. I guess that's at the start of combat poison. First flames is at the start of combat burn, even though they wrote poison, unless it was actually poison, but I doubt that. I probably just copied and pasted the wrong thing. Net launcher has been significantly nerfed. Wow, that's really bad now. Slow the same amount of targets for 2 seconds instead of 5. Captain's charge, also a 2 second slow instead of 5. So they really did not like how much these skills solved slow, which is understandable because they were really if you were able to play a large item, these skills were incredibly good. Captain's charge, haste for 2 seconds instead of 5. So yeah, that's just being consistent with the other two skills. Sure, I'm not sure what the skill is though. Strength buff is excellent. Left and right-handed are that's an insane buff. Even at bronze, it's plus 20 instead of 4. That's really good. Hold on, that's really good. Like flamethrower is kind of insane if you hit good skills. I mean, I don't know. It depends how you get the skills now, but if I'm able to target flamethrower with this even at bronze, that item is so insane. Toughness buff makes sense to me. So they're really trying to make skills valuable at bronze because before they were useless and now these seem reasonable and less important to upgrade. I'm kind of just skimming through these because it's the same idea for all of them. They're just buffing at bronze for all of them. So I'm gonna keep going and skipping them until I find something interesting because all of them are just buffs. Keen Eye. So the crit chance one I really like. Yeah, left and right eye are absolutely insane now. Like if you compare, so I liked to compare right eye to the crit core upgrade. Crit core upgrade gave itself 5% crit and items to the right of it, but you didn't put items to the right of the crit core usually. So right eye is now more than an upgrade to crit core. So if you have the choice between upgrading the crit core or picking right eye, um I would pick right eye pretty much always. Large appetites. I mean, the flat damage is good. Don't get me wrong, but you know, so I think it's that you're more likely to, what am I saying? You're more likely to see right eye. No, that's not true. It's completely changed. I don't know. I can't really assess it in that way because the skills are completely uh they've significantly changed how you get skills now. So I don't know. Large appetites give is now a silver tier item. So is artillery spotter, but they are pretty much the same otherwise. Berserker, finesse shield, and rapid relief have been buffed. So instead of it being gold and diamond at these numbers, it's silver and gold, and then diamond is insane. This is the half health cooldown reduction things. These are just number increases, that's fine. Okay. Flashy reload starts at diamond. That's I'm happy about that because this thing was insane in late game. So it being rare is reasonable to me. Like it's often if I face a Vanessa on like day 15 and 16, I if assuming I had that poor of a run and I got to that point, I would like just lose because they had infinite ammo with this skill and were never I mean, it's probably still the same actually because at that point in the game they would have gotten the skill at diamond regardless. I don't know why I shouldn't be complaining about this skill. It like because it wasn't like a meta build. Desperate strike. I don't. So it gives crit chance, but I don't remember. Is this like another half health give crit skill or something? Flashy pilot. Yeah, I just like it's all. Hold on. Yeah, it's all just like number changes at this point. I'm not too interested. Oh, these were squeezed in at the end though. And rapid thaw reduces freeze by 2, 3, or 4 seconds, up from 1 second at diamond only. That's insanely good. So I guess that's why they felt good about re-enabling icy or the snowflake and reverting it to be freeze duration because rapid thaw, I guess this has been buffed in compensation for that. And these have been nerfed, which is really important. Starting at silver instead of bronze is very important, and the duration going down. So now it's silver is the same as bronze was, and so the duration is overall less. Uh, okay. Port has been. I'm just gonna skim through the Vanessa items and the pig items because I'm not familiar with them. So port has been buffed, doesn't give ammo anymore, and the reload is only one consistently. So it's now more about the items being dropped. The reloading is still potentially good, but I doubt it's still playable. Life preserver's back, sure. Pufferfish has been nerfed, and the charging amount goes up on level up instead of it being flat. That makes a lot of sense. So it's still potentially strong. Like at diamond, so at diamond, pufferfish is the same as what it was previously at bronze, which just goes to show just how insanely strong it used to be. The boulder is buffed, sure. Barrel is buffed, I think. I can't tell. Turtle Shell is gets charged instead of it having the passive, so that's a nerf. But it being a cooldown item or it having a charge kind of buffs it for Dually. If Dually were willing to play this item, which probably, I mean, only the Armored Core liked that item, I think. Actually, if Dually had Sharp Corners, the item's good as well. So I don't know. It could be playable. Cannonade is a charge instead of passive. That makes sense. This was another item I've lost to a lot just because when you have enough base damage on it, it's insane. Electric Eels has a cooldown now. When your enemy uses an item, charge this. I mean, that feels better than what it was before. Before, it was pretty much unplayable without like without you having the exact skills that the Hydra dude had. Illusory, Illusoray, I assume it means that, can be deadly. Wait, no. What? What is Illusory? Because Illusory is a slow item. Why would a slow item be able to have deadly? So I don't know what Illusory is. Switchblade deals, yeah, so like I don't know what to make of these. Um Double barrel buff is cool. Blunderbuss has been, it starts at 100 always, but now it's charging significantly less. So yeah, this is the item I thought was really strong um in very late game Vanessa, so it being nerfed seems reasonable to me. Double barrel has a damage buff. That makes sense because it used to be strong because of skills. Now that the start of game skills are not a thing anymore, it needed a bit more help. Seaweed scales or starts at bronze, scales more at, well, it scales the same. It's just at diamond, it scales more, and its base value goes up. Okay. Sextant has a cooldown when you crit charge this. That's, and when I every time I see a charge thing, I just think this is potentially good on Dually. So now Sextant at 4-second cooldown hastes um one item for 3 seconds, gives adjacent items crit, and when you crit charge. So there's a world where Crit Core could play this. Incendiary rounds is not passive anymore. When you use an adjacent item, charge this. A little bit more burn. So this is nerfed. It's still, I don't know. So I'd have to really figure out what uh if there's anything insane that this could be positioned adjacent to. Like it's just it's really similar to Yo-Yo. Lighthouse starts at silver, but and then the charge amount goes up. It used to be 3-second always, so this is weird. It's not, it's a nerf, but starting at silver means it's not necessarily a nerf. Trebuchet nerfed massively. Oh shoot, actually no. Trebuchet is potentially insane now that it charges for way more. So the damage is way less, the burn is way less. I don't know. So it's insane if you can buff it. It used to be insane because of its base numbers, but now if you're able to upgrade it and and buff its value somehow, it's stronger in that regard because you can spam it pretty easily. Throwing knives duration has been buffed. It charges an insane amount. Yeah, so throwing knives are buffed just because of the whole. Assuming it's more, if it's easier to. Okay, it's starting at silver tier instead of bronze means it's a little weaker in that regard. But if they made it easier to upgrade things, then I could see throwing knives being really strong. Water wheel has been nerfed. It used to be 6-second cooldown, I believe. Now it's 8. Captain's wheel hastes adjacent items and is charged based on level. It's I don't know. Is this a nerf or a buff? A rework? It's kind of hmm. I can't really tell. I've not played it because I didn't play Vanessa. Pearl is crazily buffed. Instead of it being 1 second, it's 4 second charge. So now Vanessa's have the ability to spam shielding. So you could see sharp corners or defensive stance Vanessa if she gets offered those skills. I actually don't think she does though. But at least Pearl just opens up a defensive option for Vanessa that's kind of consistent. Astrolabe gets charged now. So it's weaker. It feels significantly weaker, but I don't know cuz it having charge on it instead of the passive is I always have a hard time evaluating if that's a nerf or a buff. I think this one it just sounds a lot weaker now, and it was already kind of weak, but I could be way off. Catfish, 5 second cooldown up from 3. I thought Catfish had a 6 second cooldown. Tripwire starts at bronze. When your enemy uses an item, charge this instead of when your enemy uses an item, slow. This this is interesting, but I don't know. So it having so this could be really strong. The relying on your enemies using an item is definitely sucks. But I just like to think about if I could get this as dually, would I want to play it? And there's a world where I would potentially. Like Tripwire or Chemsnail, now that it's active, it could be interesting. Ballista is buffed. Cool. Dam is it destroys both. It destroys both boards, small items, and gets charged by 2 seconds at diamond. Sure. Shark Ray starts at silver, and that's pretty much it. Crow's Nest is nerfed, and Grappling Hook starts at 6 seconds. This is scary. This makes the Scout Trooper significantly stronger. Pygmalion, the tents are back. Beehive is back. Booby Trap is nerfed. This is important. Permafreeze Pig was super annoying. Shipment has been reverted. That's fun. Atlas Stone is buffed. This was unplayable. Probably still is unplayable. Model ship gets charged. It's an active now instead of it being a way worse duct tape. Now, the shield spam pig is probably real since this is a use. This combined with landscraper and the what's it called? Bushel could be an interesting build. This I've never seen played. It's buffed, but I still am uncertain if it'll be playable. A giant ice club. Wow. Yeah. At 100 seconds, it was really broken, so I can understand them reverting it down by 1 second. When any item gains freeze, charge this 6 seconds at diamond. Interesting. This is I saw someone play an ice club build. This could be real. Because that means every other freeze you use this at diamond. That's insane. And it used to be every 3 freezes. So if it's at diamond, it's every other freeze. Snow globe gains multicast for each adjacent property. I don't remember what it was before. Maybe it was multicast per each property you had, ignoring the adjacent part. So this is a nerf, I guess. Lemonade stand didn't seem like something you put on the board, so it having a cooldown nerf is kind of weird to me. Matchbox, instead of being a passive, it's now a cooldown. That's a fair nerf. I think it's an ignition core buff though. Landscraper, when you use another item, charge this. So yeah, Landscraper was nerfed. It gains more value, gaining more shielding, but the charging part was nerfed, which makes sense because it's still, if you have model ship now, it's still really strong. Vineyard is nerfed, and it charges less, but it gains more value, so there's more shield or healing. Yo-Yo has been buffed. So Yo-Yo is very similar to Matchbox. It's only at 1 damage always, but Yo-Yo is able to be spammed now, so it's at Diamond. It's kind of insane. I could see it being really insane. So that's interesting. Bushel, so yeah, they're repeatedly doing this. The charging increasing on level up. I'd love to see what they did on the dually ones. Fort has a 4-second cooldown. When you use another item, charge this. Fort is this a, so compare Fort to Landscraper. When you use another item, charge this. When you use another item, charge this. Fort is a strictly better Landscraper to me. And now it's insane. Fort is like completely insane, I think. Marbles got the same treatment as all the other ones. Marbles could be spammed an insane amount now, so marbles with yo-yo could go incredibly hard. Windmill has a 4-second cooldown. Charge adjacent items. When you use another item, charge this. So this was a diamond only item that I rarely ever saw, but it was really cool to like think about. So I have no idea if this is a buff or not. Dually item changes. No, coolant. They nerfed coolant. That's a shame. Oh no. Omega Ray only buffs adjacent burn. That's rough. Gamma Ray. I mean, Gamma Ray is fine because you didn't have a board full of poison. So this is not that big of a deal. But Omega Ray, this one's brutal. Although, I mean, there you could get away with not playing too many burn items. So just forces you to put it next to the core and then one other item and then fill the rest of your board with non-burn items. It's not terrible. Starts at silver. It says, yeah, so it's the same item. It's just adjacent now and starts at silver. Beta Ray starting at gold is really sad, especially with less duration and significantly less charging. So yeah, this thing, it's not unplayable. It might be unplayable because it's only a 1 or 2 second freeze. It's rough. Beta Ray, I mean, it's a deserved nerf because it was so powerful before, but I can't complain. We had a fair run with broken Beta Ray. Gamma Ray starts at silver. This one was actually nerfed. The amount of poison gained is less now. Forklift has been changed. No, its enchantments have been changed. This item was completely unplayable, so I don't really care about the enchantments. Arc Blaster says, I mean, you know what? Hold on. Yeah, no, this is bad. It's a 10-second cooldown and it doesn't charge, so it's not playable. Arc Blaster, when you use the core, charge this. So this was never in the game, so I'm very curious how playable this will be. It's I don't know what its cooldown is, but being able to be charged as much as 4 seconds when you use the core sounds absolutely insane since it can be placed to the left of the core to charge it. I don't know what Fuel Rod is. Isocoric Freezer is buffed. This is now better than Beta Ray. And it might be better than Coolant now. Because it's the same freeze duration as Coolant. They now both freeze small items, but this is a 4 second cooldown instead of 6 second cooldown on Coolant. So yeah, this is a good item now. Rocket launcher. Oh, rocket launcher sucks now. It already sucked, but now this is just really bad. Cooling fans has a reduced cooldown if either player has burn, so this is a real item now. Dually Scarf says when this or an adjacent item gains freeze, remove it. Is this sarcastic? Just in time for holidays? That has to be sarcastic. Railgun re-enabled. That means it's not bugged anymore. So that's a cool item. It would have been cool to play with the rays as strong as they were now. Now that rays are weaker, I don't know how playable this item will be. Probably not playable. Um. Okay, so this the dually scarf, it no longer shields when it gains freeze, I guess. It's just gonna remove freeze. I think. No, I'm wrong. I'm wrong. Well, I don't know if I'm wrong or not. It has a 4 second cooldown. I think yeah, I think they separated the shielding from the freeze removal. Blast doors, 20 second cooldown. When your opponent uses a weapon or an item with burn, charge this. Instead of when you would take damage from an item, charge this. So it charges as much as 4 instead of 2 seconds. significantly less shielding, and 20-second cooldown is really bad. So this is now, it's actually still not terrible. Like I would I play this day one at bronze? Probably not. Would I play it like day 5 at gold? Maybe. If I had a force field. But even then though, 20-second cooldown is rough. I don't know. This item might still be unplayable. Or it was broken before, so now it might be a little bit too bad. Missiles only has 1 max ammo. Shouldn't they like buff it in some way to compensate? I mean, I guess that it doesn't. So missiles now is really slow if you're not able to spam your core. But if you're able to spam your core, this doesn't change anything unless your core is frozen. I don't know. Maybe this sounds like a massive nerf, but maybe it's not. I think it makes it a lot weaker early game. Cool LEDs, and it was already not like really broken. I guess it was broken in companion core early game. On the other cores, it was not really playable anyway, but now it's even less playable on non-companion cores. Cool LEDs, slow an item for 2 seconds instead of 1, 2, 3, 4. When you use the core, charge this instead of when you use the core slow. That's a massive nerf, but it being charged is still really good. Like, I almost prefer this. Chem Snail is a 4 second cooldown, no charge. When you slow charge this, hold on. Um, one moment. Okay, okay. So, Chem Snail is. Oh, no, no, no. Sorry. Okay, I misread this last thing. So, 4 second cooldown does not get charged. It has a slow again. So, yeah, this is not as insane anymore, unfortunately. Monitor Lizard is 8 second cooldown, and it's when you haste this gains poison instead of when you haste poison. So Monitor Lizard is like butchered. Whereas Pufferfish is still insane. So they butchered Monitor Lizard and left Pufferfish alone. Or, well, Pufferfish, hold on. Let me look at Pufferfish again. Yeah, Pufferfish is insane. Monitor Lizard is not like the same item as Pufferfish anymore. It does scale a ton, so you don't need Gamma Ray on the board, but it's so, I don't know. It might not be that bad. It's just and so the main thing is just it's vulnerable to freeze. That's all that this change does. It still will be able to put a massive amount of poison if you're not freezing them though, or slowing them. Flamethrower was buffed. Oh, let's go. Okay, okay. That's what I was really worried about because I love this item. So the fact that it's buffed, cooldown reduction down, plus all the other changes to make it so you can raise its base value easier, I can see this being insanely broken. Race Carl starts at silver. When you haste charge this 1, 2, 3 seconds. Um, it's a buff at diamond. Bomb Squad has increased cooldown. When you use an adjacent friend, charge this 1, 2, 3, 4. So it's a nerf at bronze, nerf at silver, nerf or buff at gold, buff at diamond. So it just incentivizes you to upgrade your items. That's fine. Microdave. Okay, Microdave is also insane now with Ignition Core. I was already trying to play this all the time on an Ignition Core. Now that it 4 second when you use a small item, this is insane with the Ignition Core. Tesla Coil also getting more charge when you upgrade it is very strong. You kind of want to, if so, it's a 5 second cooldown. If you could get it to 4 second cooldown in diamond, this item is absolutely insane. Ballista is stronger. This is a buff. Duct tape. Oh no, they butchered duct tape. When you use an adjacent item, charge this instead of when you use an adjacent item, shield. That sucks. I mean, I get it. But that sucks. Armadillo, when you shield charge this increases. So this is a buff, but duct tape being nerfed means this is also a lot weaker. Hamlet buff, this is important. I love that this is added back, but Cool LEDs being nerfed makes it a little awkward, but I can see Hamlet being playable. I don't know. I duct tape might not be that as bad as I think. Just having things charge is still really good. Solar farm went back up to 8 seconds from 6 seconds. That's cool. Haste your other items for 2 seconds all around. This is interesting. At silver, it's way nerfed. At gold, it's also weaker. At diamond, it's stronger. So this is hard to play at gold. It might still be playable. It just doesn't haste itself still. So it's I don't know. It's definitely a valid nerf. I'm iffy. Because of the microdave change, I mean you can't play Solar Farm with microdave because it's too much space is taken up. I think microdave is just like so much better than Solar Farm now. Because I feel like you'd have to choose between the two, or I felt like I had to choose between the two when I tried to play Ignition Core. I'm so I mean the I'm just gonna I'd like to assume that all the things that were bugged that I encountered are fine. So like these are I don't really feel like going through all these. So they fixed memory leaks, somewhat, and they fixed a lot of items whose texts were wrong or who had the wrong incorrect values, and like this is cool. Capacitor had bugs. I don't really know what those are. Duplicate skills being fixed is good. So yeah, all that's really cool. So all my only takeaway is I'm so curious about what skills look like now, and I want to play flamethrower. That's pretty much it.